What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Enjoy Your Life, the podcast. I am your host, Farrah LeRae Wynn, and today we are going to be talking about building and maintaining godly relationships. As you know, we have been on the topic of friendships and relationships for the month of August, in loving memory of one of my best friends, Nikki Phillip, who passed away last year. We're just talking about friendship, and we're talking about how to build solid friendships and how to maintain those solid friendships. And I have two very special guests with me today, Mr. and Mrs. Lewis. Say hello, you guys.
Hello.
How's everybody doing?
How's everybody doing? Like they can answer. Okay, God bless. But they're here to talk with me about building and maintaining godly relationships, and just to give a brief introduction of how we all met, because these are like my boos. I call them my dummies, you guys. Like, they mean everything to me, and they recently just got married, so turn up for that. Woo! And unfortunately, I didn't make the wedding, so I'm not a very good godly relationship at this point. But I met David like 4 years ago. Facebook actually told us like our friend anniversary on Facebook like 2 days ago or something. And we met like on Twitter. And I think that was just it. Like there was like a hashtag like Koja Kids or something like that going around. And we became friends. We started talking, and he was a minister and all this different stuff. And then fast forward, he meets his beautiful bride, and he introduced us, and she and I fell in love with each other, and the rest is history. And now they're my boos. But I love them so much, and I admire them and their relationship that they have with each other, and their individual relationships with God. And that's why I chose them to talk about this. So I'm very excited. They're from Little Rock, Arkansas. Let's get into it. I've ran my mouth for like a 2 minute straight. But you guys, I want you guys to kind of talk about what you think your definition of a godly relationship is.
Okay, I'll start first. I believe a godly relationship is one, and I can speak from what it should be because it was a lot of them that I didn't have. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So, one big thing in having a godly relationship is, of course, Christ at the center of your relationship. Mm-hmm. And then someone that will hold you accountable. We all want those friends that'll ride or die and agree with us and all of that stuff, but we absolutely need that friend that'll check you and say, hey, you can't do this. Like, we can't both be serving God and both flipping up at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Somebody has to be able to withhold the standard and to hold the other person accountable. And that was one thing that I was lacking in a lot of my relationships, was that accountability. So that's one big thing for me, accountability. And I believe that it's important for friends to be able to cover each other in prayer, to pray together. If something does come up, I feel like a good godly friend will be able to listen and not spread business and stuff like that. But I can go on and on and on, so I'm gonna let Mr. Lewis tap in for just a second.
Well, she said everything that's necessary. Just keeping God first and at the center of your friendship. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be deep and talk about God 24/7, but acknowledging Him in a friendship, praying with one another, things of that nature. Divine connections come out of those things. By yourself praying to God, send me divine connection from you. People don't think about it that way. Just connect with somebody, come across the room, they're buddy, pals, and things like that. But it's necessary to pray in all things. The Bible talks about that.
Amen. Now, I definitely think that there's a difference when we're building godly relationships. There's a difference between seasonal friendships and lifelong friendships. And personally, I feel like I can tell the difference. And that's one thing me and Briana, we were saying that we were soulmates, because you can feel the difference when God has sent someone in your life for a season because there's a lesson to be learned or something that you're supposed to take away from that friendship versus someone who's just in your life and they're going to be there and you're going to continue to grow? What are some things that you guys feel like will help you in telling the difference between someone who's just seasonal and someone who's lifelong or long term? It might not even be lifelong, but long term.
I think you pretty much just said, like, people that are sent to teach you lessons. And I feel like sometimes God will connect us with people that we feel like are awesome people to us, but we keep running into something that feels weird. Does that make sense? Like, okay, we're awesome friends, but something just keeps happening. And it's not, of course you can forgive, but it's a reoccurrence of stuff that just shouldn't be in the middle of friendship. Not saying that they're a bad person, but let me see if I can think of an example of, I was friends with this one guy, and he was a whole lot like me. He was a great person. I was a great person to him. We were able to hang out and, like, on the friend level. But, like, shortly before I met him, I asked God to show me myself. And so it was a lot of things about him that I couldn't stand to look at or deal with. But, you know, he was a really cool guy. And so one day God was like, okay, this is why I put him in your life, because you asked me to show me yourself, and you act like this. So, he's an awesome guy, awesome friend, but it's just like, you know, it wasn't meant for us to go through life together as a friend, in a friendship. But just to, you know, learn lessons from that. Or people that God just sends your way to help you to get through, like, maybe a hard task in school. Like, for instance, I have buddies in school that we work together in school. We can help each other get through projects and things like that. But I feel like after school, you know, we just kind of go our separate ways.
Right.
So, you know, I feel like he sends people to teach you a lesson. He sends people to help you get over things and to, you know, push you to that next place. And then there's some people, like you said, you're my soulmate, that through whatever, we're solid. I guess that's like it's a solid feeling that you have. And then in a lot of situations, you have to go with your gut, because you feel on the inside who's good for you and who's not. Like, my husband would tell me all day long who's good and who's not. And it's certain people that he don't even have to ever say anything about. Not because they're perfect, but it's just solid. And, you know, we can grow together regardless of what comes towards us.
Yeah. Wow, that's true. I had, like, my cousin, Janae, that I had on with me last week on the podcast, we were talking about her husband, because she just got married in December. And I love her husband so much. He's a good man, and I just love the way he is with her. And one thing that I always say about him is, like, he's considerate of the people around her. Like, if someone's good for her, he'll tell her, like, yo, you need to fix things with this person, or that person's no good for you or whatever. Like, he's just always just there for her. Like you said, he knows the difference too in a person who's solid. Like, when it comes to me, he knows that I'm going to be there. Like, forget the fact that we're cousins. Like, she's one of my closest friends. He knows I'm going to be there. So certain times, like, he don't even have to say nothing about me. He's just like, okay, yeah, Farrah, okay, cool. And then there's some people he might be a little extra worried about. And me and my cousin were just talking about that. But I think that's important. Another thing, just while we're on the topic of it, is that with your husband, he's your spouse. So there's things that he can see. But sometimes when we have godly friends, they can see things about our other friends that we may not see or pay attention to. And I think it's important to discern the difference between jealousy and wisdom. I had a friend, when it came to Nikki, I wrote her a letter that I was going to send to her prior to her passing away, because when she passed away, we weren't on talking terms. And I was going to send her a letter, and one of my friends advised me not to send it. It was like, I spoke to a few people about it, and they were like, if she's a good friend, she'll come back. You don't need to reach out, blah, blah, blah. I took that as, this is my friend, she has my best interest, instead of using wisdom and discernment to know the spirit behind it, that person was jealous. You know, I came to find out after Nikki passed away, they told me, oh, I'm sorry, I told you not to send a letter because I was jealous of your friendship, blah, blah, blah. And it hurt me. But what I should have done was use wisdom to know, like, this person is looking out for them, not out for you. And when it comes to, like, your spouse or close friends or even sometimes family members, they can see certain things that you can't see. Or they understand something about someone that you're saying is a godly relationship. They understand something that you don't. So I think it's important, too, when we have those people that are close to us, that are advising us or giving us wisdom on that we're not even really obedient, but that we pay attention to the words that they're sharing with us in regards to that. Because that's important.
Yeah, I agree. And I had a really hard time in that area because David doesn't mind telling me, you know, this friend is not a good friend to you or for you. And because I was in a friendship for so long, it's like it's hard to just call it quits. And you know, I was always trying to defend the friendship and things like that when instead of just accepting it. Because deep down inside, you know what's right for you and what's not right for you, but just because of being in it so long, I saw a quote, I think it said something about just because you took so long making a mistake doesn't mean you have to stay in it or something like that. I probably jacked it all the way.
We have like 2 minutes left. I want to talk about that briefly though. What do you do when you're in a friendship that is not good for you? How do you end that? Like, how do you step away from that person who you realize is not adding to your life in any way?
Pray for wisdom. Since we're talking about godly relationships, you have to pray for wisdom. Because everything you say isn't good. It's not the right thing, technically, to say. You can be a straightforward person, and some people can't handle you being straightforward. So you have to pray for wisdom. One thing, this is just me personally, I would sit down and talk to a person and let them know, hey, I appreciate all the things that you've done for me, being a friend, but, you know, we outgrow people. And I would let them know, like, from here, it's not that I'm not going to not acknowledge I'm somewhere, I'll be cordial. But it's just something we just can't continue to hang out and do all this kind of stuff that we used to do. It can't happen. And it's crazy. I just had this thought in my mind while you and my wife were talking. Like, outgrowing people is like outgrowing clothes. How you can decipher what a long-term friend is and a short-term friend is like clothes you outgrow. You throw your favorite pair of jeans in the washer and throw them in the dryer and come out and they're short or too tight. Your friendship is that way. You throw it in the cycle, it gets dirty. You throw it in the cycle to get clean. And if it comes out too tight, comes out too short, you outgrow it. Then you have to put it aside, give it to somebody else or whatever the case may be.
That's an interesting analogy. That's good. Listen, we're going to come back with a part 2. Bishop is going to take us to the next level and preach us on enjoy your life. Well, oh my God, that was really, really good. But that's all the time we have. Thank you so much, Briana. Thank you so much, David, for doing this with me. I love you guys, and I appreciate you, and I respect you, and you guys are just amazing. Follow them on their social media accounts, you guys. I think, David, what is yours? God's Anointed?
Yep, _God's Anointed.
And Bree, what is yours? Brilliantly?
It's Brilliantly Me, BRI_. Let me write it. I am. We can't.
I'll put it on the screen. Well, thank you so much for tuning in tonight, you guys. We will be back with more next week. I love you and God loves you. God bless.